TieSha back with you again today. I cannot believe that it is mid-October already. This year has flown by. We are almost 2 months away from the end of the year. But thank you guys for joining me again today. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. So we've done a bracelet, we've done a pair of earrings, and now I wanted to show you guys a multi-layer necklace. This is one of my other favorite things that I like to make because I like to play with different materials, different textures, different colors. So we're going to work on a multi-layer necklace today. So I will just talk to you about the materials that I have on my mat here, and then we will go ahead and get started. So I have a piece of sari silk in this magenta color, and we're actually going to use this as our chain to be able to tie our necklace around our neck. I have some stone beads in this beautiful magenta color as well, and actually has kind of like a little bit of an ombre effect to it, so I love that. And then I have some semi-precious stones also, some Dakota stones that I had in my bead stash, so I'm going to pull these out and incorporate those into the necklace as well. And then I also have something called Chain Reaction, which is a Jesse James beads product. And it comes in different variations of silvers and golds with different faceted beads on it as well. And then I actually showed you guys this from our Magic Mystery Bead Box Reveal Kit. And I thought it was just an interesting piece. So I'm going to use this in my necklace as well. And it's called Sidewinder Road. And it's kind of like a fabric, like link chain type of necklace material. So we're going to use that. And then I'm also going to bring in one of my other favorite materials that I mentioned before, which is the silver silk pipe chain. And I know some folks asked on the last video if you could use it for more than just bracelets. And so I'm going to show you guys today how you can incorporate it into a necklace design as well. And then I also have my crimp ends that I'm going to use to be able to secure my necklace. Strands that I work with, and then I also have my soft flex beading wire, which I'm going to use to actually string my beads. And of course we have our handy dandy bead ends. So these will help when you're stringing to make sure your beads don't fall off on one end. Never leave home without these. If you don't have them, something that I used to use when I first was getting started, I actually used to use a mini binder clip, and I would clip my string onto the end of here to help secure my beads on as well. So if you don't have the bead stoppers, you can also use a mini binder clip as well. And then of course I have my tools, my handy dandy tools on hand. Not sure exactly all of what I'm going to need, but I just always make sure I have my various pliers and my cutters available right next to me. And then I have a couple of jump rings as well that I will be using to secure all of the strands that I create and bring my necklace together. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on the design. Alrighty, so I've kind of laid out all of my pieces in the order in which I want to layer my necklace. And the key to doing a layered necklace is to make sure that all your strands are slightly shorter than the last one, so that they do a good layer over top of each other without overlapping. So I decided I'm going to start with this chain first, and then I'm going to use the pipe chain, and then the chain reaction, and then I'm going to finish off with the beads. So the first thing I'm going to do is, because I want to use these end caps on my pipe chain and I have to glue them on, I'm actually going to do the gluing first so that it can be drying a little bit while we're stringing our other pieces on. So let me pull out my GS Hypo Cement You can also use E6000 glue, which I also have as well, but this is what was closest to me, so I'm grabbing this for right now, and then we'll work with this to glue the end caps onto the pipe chain. And it gets a little messy sometimes, so just get some of that extra gunk off that's dried up, and then I'll go ahead and put some glue. I'll usually put some around inside of the end cap, and then I'll take my end of my pipe chain and I will slide it through there, and then I'll do the same with this other side. And this gets a little messy, so be careful when you lay it down what you stick it to. So I'm going to do this, put a little glue in there, and then put my other end cap on. And then I'm going to lay this to the side for a moment just to give it a chance to dry just a tad. And if you can see, my hypo cement is a hot mess, but it has this little pin that you can stick in. I'm going to go ahead and try to quickly stick my pin in, and then I will use this to kind of clean up the edges so that I can actually get the top off the next time I try to use it. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and string on my stones. And what I need to do is cut a piece of the soft flex bead stringing wire, a little bit longer than I think my strand is going to be. So I'll cut about a little over end to end of the mat, and that should be enough for me to be able to string all the beads and then also be able to crimp without struggling to get the crimp bead onto the end. So let's go ahead and cut. So I'm going to grab my cutters, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off a piece of this soft flex wire. And I'm going to put on my end cap. And then I am going to slide things over a little bit because I do want to incorporate these into my strand. So I'm going to slide these down slightly. I think I'm going to do one here, and then I'll skip to do one here, and then I'll slide these down slightly and kind of repeat the same pattern on this other side where I do one here, skip two, and do another one there. And then for these little flat pieces, I will just slide down these very small ones and put the little flat pieces in there. Again, these are the Dakota stones that I got from a Jesse James bead mix. So I wanted to incorporate those as well because they have the magenta color, but then they also add just a little more pop of color with some of the oranges that are in there as well. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start stringing on. Just put the beads on and slide them down. And I have a quick question for you guys while I'm doing the stringing. So who has started their holiday shopping already? How many of you are early holiday shoppers, or how many of you are kind of last minute late holiday shoppers? So I'll be curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Me, myself, I am I'm not early, but I'm also not like a last minute late person either. Reason being is because not only do I have to deal with Christmas, both of my children's birthdays are in December. So one right before Christmas and one after Christmas. So I have to do both Christmas shopping and plan for birthday parties and birthday gifts as well. So I can't exactly afford to wait till the last minute to do any of my holiday shopping. So I'll usually start maybe mid to late November, try to catch some of the Black Friday sales. I actually missed this year's was it Prime Day that was in October. I didn't really get a chance to look and see what they had to offer then, if I could grab any holiday pieces then, but I'll keep that on my calendar for next year. But I'm just going to continue to string these on, and this should move by fairly quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And string on a little more. And let's see, one of my favorite fall things is apple cider donuts. And I have not gotten any this year, but my family and I usually go to a place in our area in Davidsonville that does Christmas trees and does like a lot of holiday decorations. And so we usually do that like first week of December. So I'm going to save my love for apple cider donuts when we get a chance to do that. They have warm apple cider, and then they also have a truck that has funnel cakes and apple cider donuts. So that's one of the things that we like to do as a family during the holidays as well. All right, just got a couple more to string on. Let's see. Alrighty, we're all done with the stringing, and I love this magenta color. It's so beautiful, like so rich. I love the ombre and the beads that go from the dark to light. Definitely perfect for the fall, winter time frame. All right, so we have our beads on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my crimp tubes. I mean, not crimp tubes, but crimp beads. You can also use crimp tubes as well. But when I do necklaces, I usually try to use crimp beads if I'm not going to use a wire guardian. For me, it just gives a little bit of a tighter, more secure crimp than it does with the crimp tubes. But you're definitely free to use either or. And so I'm stringing on my crimp bead, and then I'm going to go through the end again and come out through the other side. And then I'm going to leave a little loop at the end, and there's going to be space here until I get to the other side when I'm able to move my beads down. But I want to leave a little loop at the end so that I can be able to string it on. So you see my little loop? And then I'm going to take my flat nose pliers. I'm making sure my ends are parallel. And then I'm just going to squeeze to flatten out that crimp bead. And so see, you get a, I don't know if you guys can see it, but you get a nice, tight, secure crimp on the end. And then what I'm going to do is just slide this down. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other end, but I don't want it to be too tight because I don't want my beads to be stiffed. So if I make it too tight, it won't bend a lot. So I'm going to try to get as close as possible without making it too snug. So I'm going to take my end cap off, or my bead stopper off, grab me another crimp bead, if it doesn't get stuck in my fingernails. And do the same thing that I did on the other side. String it in. And then bring it through. And then I'll still bring it down just a little bit more. And then pull that through. And let's look at our loops to see. That one's a slightly bigger, so I'm going to pull it through a little tiny bit more, and it'll flatten out some more once I actually crimp it. And then I'm going to, again, use my chain nose pliers. Just apply pressure to crimp that down, and see, we have that secure end. So we're done with that strand. And what we can do is just cut our little extra ends off. And take that, cut that off. Just kind of tuck it a little tiny bit. And then with this one, I can do the same thing that I did on the other side and just kind of string this through that first bead, just to kind of hide it a little bit more. Just pull that down, and then I can trim. All right, so now we're done with that layer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just start stringing my layers. The pipe chain is probably still a little wet, so we'll have to wait a minute on that one. But what I'm going to do is take my jump ring, I'm going to open up my jump ring, and again you want to twist away from each other, not pull out, because it's going to misshape your jump ring. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that piece on. I'm just going to use my pliers to kind of hold the end. I'm going to string this piece on. And I'm going to have to come back and I'm going to have to grab a jump ring because the hole on this is a little bit too small, so it's not going to fit through this big jump ring. So let's do our pipe chain real quick, and I know it's still drying, and then I'm going to come back in a quick second after I grab a jump ring to be able to put the chain on. So give me 1 minute and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I'm back. I grabbed a little small jump ring to put on the end of this chain so that I can get it onto my large jump ring to make the next layer. Let's get the right pliers. We'll go ahead and close up our jump ring. And then we'll string this one on. And then I'm going to string on my beautiful gemstone. And then I'm going to close up my large jump ring. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to open up my large jump ring. And then I'm going to start my layers again. So we had the fabric chain first. And now we have our pipe chain. And again, be careful with the pipe chain because it really hasn't had the opportunity to dry. So I'm just being gentle with stringing this on. And then I need to get my small jump ring again to add to the chain reaction chain so I can get that onto my large jump ring. And let's see. Use my smaller pliers and go ahead and thread this in. Alrighty, there we go. Let's close up this jump ring. Alright, just snap it just a little bit. And then I'm going to add it to my large jump ring. And then I'm going to do my gemstone again. And then I'm going to close this up. There we go. And so now we have our layers. And then what we're going to want to do now is to be able to wear it and close it off. Like I mentioned before, I was going to do a sari silk just to make it a necklace that you can tie around your neck, just to give it a little bit of texture, add in a little more dimension and material, just so that it's not like a traditional plain old necklace. Add a little more pizzazz and funk to it. All right, so let's get our sari silk. And I have one large piece what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to take my silk and grab my scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut it in half. And then what I'm going to do from there, pull off some of those extra ends, is I'm going to fold this over right here, and I'm going to string it through my jump ring. So if you can see, I am putting this through the loop, and I'm doing it on the side where the open end of the jump ring is, so that I can be able to cover that up. And then I'm going to pull through. And it's just going to make a little knot on the end. And pull my knotted end. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Going to take a little bit on the end, fold it over. We're going to grab our jump ring, preferably the side that has the seam, so that we can cover up the seam. And we're going to slide this through our jump ring. And open up that loop a little bit, pull the ends through, and then again just pull, make a knot. I find that the knot is usually pretty secure, so I don't have to put any glue. But if you're a little leery about it being secure, you're more than welcome to put some glue on the end. One thing I am noticing is that my one end is a little bit off from where the jump ring is, so I need to probably move this over to the other side of my jump ring, just so that it's evenly laid out. All right, and this is our layered necklace. And what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to trim these ends a little bit. I don't want them to be super long, but I do like having the raw edges. And the same thing here. Let's just kind of measure to make sure we cut the same amount off. That's about right here. And go ahead and cut that. And then if you want to wear your necklace, all you have to do is tie it around your neck, and I'll show you guys that in a second as well. And then we'll be able to see how it is when we have it layered on. All right, so that's our layered necklace. All right, now let's go ahead and put this baby on and see what it looks like when we put it on. So I'm going to take my necklace, and sorry, I have on this hooded sweatshirt, so it's not going to work out as well as I would want to, but we're just going to go ahead and tie the string behind our neck. And then we have our, you can tie it in a bow, but then we have our multi-layered necklace, different textures, different dimensions. And oops, that's our pipe chain. The glue wasn't dry yet, and I pulled it a little bit too hard. So please be careful, like I said earlier, when you're doing your necklace, you definitely want to give it time for the glue to dry on the end cap for the pipe chain. But just wanted to give you guys an idea of what it will look like when you're finished. And it's easy off, easy on, because you just have a string that's tying it up. So you would just tie it. And the good thing with the string is that it's fairly long, so if you want to make it shorter or longer, you can choose where you want to tie your necklace. Alrighty, so here we go. And that's our finished layered necklace. Hope you guys like it and enjoy. And wishing you a wonderful rest of the month of October if I don't see you guys before then. Thank you.